omitting information that is relevant to my decision, it does feel like a lie. It feels like covering up.
As we told you at the beginning of the season, the decline of local news has us worried about the spread of misinformation. But so does a lack of funding and support for investigative work. Let's find out why these types of stories are so important. Emma Jarrett and Stacy Kuznetsova are reporters from the IJB and have some groundbreaking work that they've done around transparency. Great to have you both on the program.
Thank you for having us.
Emma, let me start with you. Your investigation brought to light, years of untold stories in Canada's legal field. What did you find?
We learned that when you go to a Law Society public registry, which is where they list all the lawyers that they regulate and paralegals, you go into their profile, maybe you're thinking about hiring a lawyer. You check them out and they have a clear profile and you think, great, let's go. What you may not know is that there is a potentially significant history behind that lawyer that the regulator is aware of but doesn't disclose on the profile.
So give me some examples of what you found.
Several years ago when we started this, we found that if you had been regulated by a different profession before you became a lawyer and you had been disciplined in that profession, perhaps you had lost whatever certification or status you had with them, that might not necessarily be reflected on your Law Society profile. And it could have been behavior that is, potentially very illegal and very frowned upon, and it just doesn't appear when you transition into your new career as a lawyer.
And a lot of your stories focused on allegations of sexual misconduct. I mean, is that, none of that's showing up?
Not always. Sometimes, if it's a serious criminal charge, the Law Society will open their own investigation, and only when they reach the point of saying, all right, we think we have enough here to proceed in the disciplinary process, we're going to trigger a formal investigation, that alert will show up on somebody's profile, but that previous investigative part, when they're sort of triaging the complaint, you have no idea.
Okay, so there's open allegations on the table and you're just looking for a lawyer and you have no idea that there could be multiple complaints.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, Stacy, you dealt with a similar type of project, but on the medical side of things. So tell me about that.
So Bad Practice was the biggest international collaboration the IJB has ever been involved in. It was led by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project. The nut of the project was that doctors, in many cases, are able to leave behind their troubling pasts, such as being reprimanded or even being banned from practicing medicine. They're able to leave that history behind in one jurisdiction and start fresh in a completely new one, with very often none or minimal disclosure to the public about those previous histories.
Did it change the way you feel about your doctor? How you look at doctors?
I think being an investigative reporter changes the way you look at any profession.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Our show focuses on untrue statements and claims, but isn't a lie by omission still a lie?
I personally would think so. That comes from a place of, when I make a decision about something, I want it to be an informed choice, whether it's about my doctor, whether it's about my lawyer, I just want to have the facts. If somebody has a past, if they've made a mistake, that doesn't necessarily disqualify them from, either myself or another person saying, no, I still want to go to you. I'm still going to trust you with my care or my legal trouble, whatever it is. But I want to have the information. So to me, omitting information that is relevant to my decision, it does feel like a lie. It feels like covering up.
Yeah. And to build on Emma's point here, I think we expect transparency from everybody, but for lawyers, for doctors, for professions where they encounter people in their most vulnerable and they trust these people with the decisions about their medical care, trust them with legal advice that could be life-changing for them. In those professions especially, we expect a higher level of transparency.
Would you call this deception? Stacy?
I don't really know if it matters whether or not I would call it deception. I think what matters is that information that would have changed your opinion of somebody, would have affected your decision on whether or not this is the doctor I'm going to go to or this is the lawyer that I'm going to hire, that information is being withheld from you in some cases. And so you're not able to make an informed decision.
I want to come back, Emma, to your project, because that was not a project that took a couple months. How long did that take?
many years.
Many years.
Yeah, I mean, it was interrupted in the middle by COVID and the pandemic, but yeah, I mean, we're still working on it. And we published the first story 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. So it's just, it keeps going.
And you have seen at least prospect of some change.
Yeah, so the Law Society last year said that they were going to take a closer look at their bylaws that they're governed by, and specifically what they are or are not going to disclose going forward. And so they've agreed in principle to make some changes that would bring more transparency to the visibility for the public on the public registry of, you know, what's my lawyer's past.
I mean, we'll see what happens, but if that comes through, could be a huge win. Stacey, I want to ask, you know, you are still in school, 22 years old, doing investigative journalism. What does that mean to you?
It really is a privilege to be doing this work, and to find a place that not only allows you to do deep investigative work as a student that can change policy, that can change the world, but also mentors you in doing that, and is deeply committed to your professional growth, to supporting you in pursuing projects that you're passionate about, is very, very rare. And so we're all very privileged and recognize that privilege every day that we come to work.
It's a dream job?
It is a dream job. I have the best job in the world, and I'm the luckiest person, yeah.
Yeah, so important. Investigative work, incredible part of democracy, an incredible part of holding leaders to account. So I thank you ladies for all the work that you do.
Thank
Thank you.
We asked Ontario regulators for doctors and lawyers to respond to the IJB's investigations. A spokesperson for the College of Physicians and Surgeons said they are committed to balancing transparency with fairness for both the public and the privacy of its members. The college added that it reviews the practice history of doctors before they provide care in Ontario and works to ensure that physicians meet the professional and ethical standards expected in the province. We did not hear back from Ontario's Law Society.